good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. By myself, Oxford on the show is London and Road. Billy, how we doing, boys and girls?
I'm fine, Ox. How's your good self? Evening, Linda.
Evening, Ox. Evening, Billy. Evening, everyone.
How are you, Linda?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
You must be due a holiday. You've not had one for 10 days.
There's one in the diary as we speak.
Billy, we made a mistake, mate. Instead of all that gambling, we should have got our money into that Prosecco, mate. We made a Klondike, yeah?
Oh, didn't get me started with Big Southside. He's due me a score, mate. He's due me a score. Okay. You know, remember that?
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yeah, you had a wee. I backed my big mate to the hilt, but I've got to say, the world's worst pundit.
He started the season like a champion. He couldn't do no wrong, and I don't know what's happened to him. I do not know. I think it was doing a 3 o'clock. The first one was it not?
It was beat before 3 o'clock. Aye, it was beat before 3 o'clock.
Horrendous.
Aye, he's well, let's just say he's done well with his Rangers predictions and not so well with his other football knowledge. Maybe that sums the man up, Linda. He's a Rangers man and nothing else.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Or maybe he's just crap at picking football scores.
I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't let him pick my lottery numbers anyway, Ox. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I would, mate. I would. Money goes to money. But he'll be there. He'll have a go this week. He'll put himself out there, ridiculed or not. He'll have a go. And 1 week, we will all have a night out. I don't know when it'll be, Billy, but 1 week we will have a night out.
Well, there you go then, mate. There you go.
All right. Rangers, we seem to be dominated all of a sudden. I know the AGM, the accounts are due to come out any time now, Linda. We seem to be dominated with off the field stuff. It's not really our bag, really. We did discuss it because we've got it, but it's dominating the Rangers world, eh?
Yeah, we just don't seem to be able to get ourselves off the headlines, and other people, other clubs seem to escape headlines, don't they? But there's always a story about Rangers, and they're always very quick to print them.
Are you telling me, Linda? And your mind is obviously a lot more twisted and better than mine, but are you telling me that another club have got a major thing happening to them, and that's why Rangers are in the papers to take the spotlight, I use that pun wisely, off another club in the city?
I couldn't be as cynical as that, Ox. Absolutely not.
Okay, I apologise.
That's all right. That's all right. No, just like you said, we seem to be able to fill the papers at opportune moments, but a couple of the stories, obviously the fine that's come out is disappointing to read that, Ox, and there isn't really any getting away from that, I don't think, is there?
No, I think I don't know a lot about marketing and fixing prices, but I think you have to take your medicine sometimes, pay it and move on, Billy, yeah?
Aye, mate, that's right. You just got to do what you've got to do, mate, in this climate anyway. Regarding what you're just talking about there, mate, I'm no too clued up on the ins and outs of how our football clubs ran, mate. The guys in the positions and the directors in the positions, they'll know better than us, mate. All we can do is hope and put our trust into them, mate. And I mean, we can second guess to the cows come home, Ox. You know what I mean? But other than that, mate, we just need to put our trust in what the guys are telling us, and obviously we want more transparency regarding the footballing side of things, like, I mean, for a product on the park, mate. But that's as first and foremost as supporters. That's what we want to see. We want to see the best players playing for the best club in the world. Do you know what I mean?
What do we deserve as supporters, Linda? What's your thoughts on it? Or are we too needy?
First and foremost, we deserve to have a good, steady, well-run football club, because that's the most important thing. We want to have a football club to support because of what went on, 10 or 12 years ago. That's just my opinion. I want to have a football club to support. So I want it to be as secure as it can be, and for it to be financially viable and be able to stand on its own 2 feet to as much as it can. And hopefully that will help facilitate a really good football team on the park. I think they've got to go hand in hand, Ox. I just think sometimes we maybe don't...
No sword and shield?
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a good song, isn't it? I don't know. I personally, I think a lot of things have become a bit clearer over the last wee while, that we have started to hear things that's going on behind the scenes, and some of the things that had to be fixed. I certainly didn't appreciate that. You know, the stadium, certain contracts we were entered into that seem to have been going on forever, that they're still trying to fix. But on the other hand, as Billy says, we do want a bit more transparency and we want some better communication. But there's one thing that the board should never forget, and it's the fans, and it's us that basically are, as they said, the lifeblood of the club. But I do think there's been a lot of things that have come to light in terms of what they inherited over the last few years that I certainly didn't appreciate how bad things were, Ox.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think we deserve? And as fans, first of all, Billy, because remember, a fan is just somebody who maybe follows the team, television, looks out for results on the internet, and a supporter is somebody who's putting his hard-earned cash in. They're two different kinds of individuals. Doesn't mean they don't care about the Rangers any more or any less, because people's circumstances are different in life at different times. And sometimes a supporter can become a fan, and sometimes a fan can become a supporter as your life progresses. But what do you think we deserve, Billy? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, listen, but first and foremost, we understand as fans that the running of the club has got to be run in a sensible way to make the club a solid foundation, both financially and safety-wise. So we understand that. And I certainly get that, but as a teddy bear, I want to see the best players that we can get for our money in a blue jersey, mate. That's what I'm wanting. And I would like to think that 99.9% of your fan base are all the same. We want to see a football product on the park. And, I mean, the fans are putting their hard-earned cash in, mate, week in, week out, be it by season tickets, buying merchandise, food outlets, different things and all that. You know what I mean? So the fans are putting their hard-earned cash up, and we've got a right to see a good football product on the park. And it's as simple as that. I mean,
have you really? Is sport meant to be sport? You know, you support your team, and you're on. But we're stuck with that for life. You know, Fox knows. I think Fox has been married 7 or 8 times, so you can always change your woman, but you can't change your football team, Lyndon. You know, you're stuck with it for life, ain't you?
Yeah, and sometimes it gets to the point where you wish that wasn't the case. But you know, I don't know. Like, I'm just talking about when they're not playing very well.
No,
you know, and you kind of you're getting fed up watching the same stuff and blah blah blah. However, that doesn't last very long.
I think Billy's right. I think you're right, Billy. I think if your chips are called and we win 3-0, you don't seem to remember it. But if your chips are called and we lose 3-0, you remember it, don't you?
That's right, mate. That's right. Listen, as I said, mate, we want to see a product in the park. We want to see the best players in the park playing the blue jersey for the Great Glasgow Rangers, mate. But we understand as fans, we can't get the perfect performance footballing-wise every week, mate. It's just, it doesn't happen. I mean, Real Madrid, Juventus, AC Milan, the top teams in Europe, don't turn that on week in, week out, mate.
Billy,
you know?
If the favourites won every week, Southside would get a coup, not wouldn't they?
I wouldn't need these both teams to score, mate.
Aye, but I get you. Right, but we want to see a team on the park. I mean, listen, we just want to see improvement. And I know I banged that drum, no pun intended, Linda. We're recruitment, and the money we've wasted in recruitment. When you look at the amount of games people have been brought in the last since Ross Wilson came into the job. Now, I'm not saying it was Ross's fault because we took on all the ins and outs and how many players he couldn't get because he was curtailed on the budgets. We'll never know that. But the players were brought in the last 3 years. Very few of them have been successful, Linda.
Yeah, because last week you read out some
Aye.
some really startling figures about, as you said, the number of games that they've played out of possible games that they could have played. And we were all quite shocked by some of the numbers. I mean, I think we had an idea of a few of them. For example, players like, Hollander and Roof, who actually, some people, we actually think they're good players, and when they're fit, they seem to play quite well. But the staggering amount of games that they've missed, when you read out the figures, was quite shocking. And I think this summer, we got all our business done early. They explained that they were going to do that because the be-all and end-all, to a certain degree, or it was actually, to qualify for the Champions League. And we managed to do that. We seem to be playing reasonably okay. We got over the Union, challenge, and then after the PSV, and we got through. Everybody was really in a high, but we just seemed to then kind of crash and burn, and we've gone back to not performing on the park. And then all these injuries that have raised their ugly heads with our new players has become really quite frustrating. So it's a mixture of injuries, but it's also people that are not showing good enough form, and they're not even getting into the team. And that's including a couple of the new signings in the summer. And I think that's what everybody's frustrated about, Ox.
Billy.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. No, Ox, listen.
If we won on Saturday, mate, we go top of the league.
That's entirely correct, Ox. That's right. Albeit for 24 hours, or whatever the case may be, or whenever that.
Maybe not.
But listen, that's the way to look at it. That's the positive scenario to take out it. And the players who start at Tynecastle at 12:30 on Saturday should need no more motivation, no more motivation, Ox, to go out and turn in a result, mate. How they get it, it's entirely up to the players. But back to what you were talking there about, I think Linda touched on it as well, mate. I'm not a great lover of the sporting director scenario, mate. I just don't like it at all, mate.
You like the manager to pick your players,
yeah,
Billy?
Aye, absolutely, mate. Absolutely, pal. And I also like a manager to have a list of players that he fancies that will come to the club and do a job for him. And then he goes to the board and say, listen, this is who I'm interested in. What can you do for me? And the manager and the board of directors sit down and they say, right, this is what we've got. This is the budget we've got. He's under contract, blah. We can speak to his agent, all the usual palaver, and you go and get your player and you bring him in. And the manager can trust who he's bringing in, mate. So that's for a sporting director. And I mean, that's, to me, when you go down that road, mate, your manager's always going to have one hand tied behind his back all the time.
Point of view, Billy. Point of view. I think football's changed, Linda. I think back in the day when it was parochial, scouting's worldwide now. It's difficult. I don't think your manager could do that to a certain level, but I do agree with Billy. I think your manager lives and dies by his players, doesn't he? So he should have the final say within reason, yeah?
Yeah, I would agree. As you say, the sporting director's trying to take that position is all about taking some of the pressure off a manager, I think, to let him focus on the team more, I think. But I would hate to think that the manager doesn't have the final say on the player that comes in. Yes, it might not be his first choice. Even if it gets down to the third choice, surely the manager still has to be shown videos or stats or analysis so that they can say, right, if I need my right wing or my right-sided midfield filled, here's my options and here's who I would say is the one that we should sign. Now, I don't know if it is like that, Ox, but I would hate to think that Gio doesn't have any say at all. I'm sure he does, but I would like to think he has the final say as well, within reason. I don't know. I think you're right. I think football's changed. It definitely has. It's a different world now. But I do take the point that Billy made as well, that it's the market and it's the budget we've got, and it's the market we're shopping in, I think.
Yeah, no luck will be paying for my players in dollars. You know, but don't get me started on that, Linda. That's another story.
But don't go there.
Right. We're going to get these phone lines open, see what people are thinking. The question I'll pose to you two while I'm opening the phone lines, how does as fans, supporters, whatever you want to call us, how do we help drive the club forward? Okay, let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Billy, how do we help drive the club forward? Of the fans in this, particularly economically, what's going on at the moment, have we hit the glass ceiling? Have we hit the ceiling? Season tickets, Champions League tickets, merchandise, my jersey, Rangers TV. God, that's just this was. What else? Well, that's about it. When you go, you try and spend money at Ibrox. I don't know how much actually hard-earned cash people put in. Billy?
That's right, Oxford, man. I mean, you can see what people need to remember as well. I mean, we're going through a crazy time in the world, you know what I mean, with different things going on. I'm not want to go down that road into it and what no, mate, but all different families can only spend what they can spend, basically, Ox, you know what I mean? I mean, if you've got, for talking sake, if you've got a husband and a wife who are big blue noses and you've got a couple of kids, you know what I mean? That's a lot of money for people to ship out for 4 season tickets. And then you've got to buy the merchandise as well, and then you've got to buy food on the day, mate, you know what I mean? And you talk about scarves and programmes and all that, and it's not going to the football now, mate. It's not a cheap day out, buddy. So people can only pay what they can afford to pay. But listen, it doesn't matter if you're putting in £1 into Glasgow Rangers or you're putting £500 into Glasgow Rangers. Every penny matters, you know what I mean? Just because you can't spend as much as the next supporter, that doesn't stop you being a Rangers supporter. You know what I mean?
No, because it's an emotional tie. It's an emotional tie. Linda?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Billy. You can only spend what you can afford, and that's all that we can continue to do, because I think we've supported the club. I mean, when you think about all these things that we've actually bought into, it's been absolutely remarkable, you know, considering this current climate as well. So I think that's all we can do, continue to support them as much as we can. If we can financially help in any way, shape or form in the coming months and year, considering, you know, what's round the corner for everybody, then that's all fans can do.
Bridgeman contacted me today. He's wanting me to see if I can take time out to go to him to the post office in Switzerland so he can move his money from there to the post office in this country because of the high interest rates we're going to be getting. He's always on the ball, right? Anyway, we've been joined with our good friend Smurf. How are we doing, Smurf?
I know, bad Ox. I just wanted to phone up. I phoned up the other day at a bit of a rant, and so I just sort of wanted to apologise. I was a bit impassioned.
We don't charge for the counselling, mate, but we'll get you a new settee. Yeah.
I was a bit impassioned, but what it is whatever we're going through, whatever we're failings, you know, supporting Rangers is just a roller coaster, innit? And I think that, you know, you get up on a Monday morning, say, and the one universal truth, the one constant is that every media outlet in the country somewhere will be bashing our club, you know, and national rags and national broadcasters and anybody you want to listen to, really, you know, other clubs and whatever. And I just think, you know, although we pay our money like you were just saying a few minutes ago, you buy your merchandise and your season tickets, etc., etc., and you're entitled to complain. I just think, you know, if we're not going to sort of throw a shoulder under it, then nobody else certainly is going to do that. So I do apologise for my rant the other day, but I do think, you know, I just got a question for you. I mean, you know, Gio came for that the City group. You know, he was a coach for them, wasn't he? And do you think there's an argument for that? He's got a sort of idealistic view of how, you know, he played with Barcelona. I think did he play in the same team as Pep?
No. Oh, I'll check that out.
No, he didn't. But it might have been a different. But the thing is what I'm trying to say is that he's you know, he might have this idealistic view where he's got this plan and he just doesn't have the guys to execute it. And, you know, I don't know. He's been brilliant, you know, tactically in some of the European games. I just don't know if he's pragmatic enough, given our circumstance. I don't know what you think.
All right, okay. So I don't think he did play with Pep. I've just checked out quickly. I think Pep finished in 2001. So Gio left us.
Right.
Aye,
that's right. Aye.
You know, I'm going to take the fifth in that one and think about it, Smith. Wonder.
Cheers, Ox. Hi, Smurf, how you doing?
Hi, not bad.
I didn't hear your rant, but it was probably fully justified, so I wouldn't, as Ox says, I wouldn't worry about it. See, the thing about Gio is, and it's just my own view, I think he's definitely got a certain philosophy, Smurf, and I think he's a wee bit dogmatic, and he doesn't seem to change the way he wants to play. And I'm thinking about this particularly domestically, and that's been really annoying everybody just now. There's a couple of examples. The zonal marking at the corners wasn't working. I believe he did change that the last couple of games, but we'll see what happens going forward. And we touched on this last week. He's insisting on playing in two wide men up front, and not even giving people like Cholak and Alfie a chance to play in the same team, Smurf. And that to me is that's just plain silly. We're playing the bottom team in the league at home, and we're saying that we can't play with two out and out goal scorers. I don't get that. So I think I agree with you to a certain extent. He's got a philosophy and he wants to stick to it, but I don't think he's probably got the players just now available to him to actually play that. His way of playing. But when we get players back from injury, it might turn out that it's okay. But let's just wait and see.
Billy?
Aye, how you doing, Smurf, mate? Listen, buddy, as
Ox
says, mate. Hi, sound, pal, sound. Listen, as Big Ox says there, mate, you've nothing to apologise about, mate. To be honest with you, I loved every minute of your rant, and I can't mind actually what I didn't agree, to be perfectly honest with you, mate, because you were bang on and everything you said, mate. So 110% correct in everything you said, John, the other night there. I loved your passion, mate. That's what we're all about as supporters, mate. We care, we love our club, and it shows. We all wear our Rangers heart on our sleeves. You know what I mean? But talking about Giovanni, mate, I keep going back to last season. I try and look at things in a certain perspective, right, and see how. For talking sake, when Gio inherited the team for Steven Gerrard, it took him time to put his foundations and his way of thinking of football into that team. And as the season progressed, I believed that the players were starting to buy into it more and more and more. Obviously, we wanted to win the league last season, right? And we fell short, but we had a magnificent run into the Europa League final, mate. And, I mean, we were a whisker. We were only a lucky paint away from lifting that trophy. We won the Scottish Cup, and then we've lost players in the summertime there And to be honest with you, the ones that we've brought in to replace them, they've either been injured or they've not been up to speed. And with other injuries in our team as well, the same players that maybe Giovanni's inherited now, it's when you look back to then, it's got a lot of similarities to it, buddy. That's my opinion. And it'll take time for the players to buy into that style of football again. But when Linda was talking there regarding games against Dundee United there, we're playing Alfredo and Big Kolak up front, mate. I'm screaming out for that, and I can't say this highly enough, mate. I'm desperate to see the two guys up front, because I'm telling you right now, there's no two defenders or no four defenders in Scotland. If we're playing the two guys up front, they guys will not know where to stick or twist, because they'll ragdoll them all out of the park. And the quicker we can't no give that a go. We can't not give it a go, because I know all managers have got their own systems, and I get that. But in certain games, I mean, Giovanni's changed the system round to suit a particular game. So how can he not change the system round to suit a particular game for, albeit less inferior football teams? Because it makes sense to me, mate.
Smurf, I think I get what I think your question is his philosophy, or he's trying to put. Is he trying to put square pegs into round holes? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. Basically, aye.
But is he got a philosophy that with his system that you play and you play that, you constantly play that, and we're back to the Mark Warburton, where you have a 4-3-3 and you just play it, and that's what you play. And if it's not going well, you do plan A better. Now we complimented Giovanni when he made the tactical changes within games, Linda. Everybody was very complimentary because Stevie G didn't quite do it. But Stevie G hasn't had the doings. That group of players hadn't had the doings that they've had under Giovanni. So maybe Stevie G and his team were getting more stuff right defensively. But Gio's trying to do offensively. Yeah.
The one thing I would notice is that that sort of dogmatic attitude to he wants his wide players out wide, and we played with sort of two false tens. The wingers, as it were sort of more narrow, weren't they, under Gerrard? And I think there was more support to the central striker, and I think if you're playing Cholak, he needs that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he gets isolated otherwise. And I don't know. I just think we've got a level of player. He's got an idea. He's got a picture in his head of what he wants, and he must look at his squad and he thinks, this individual, that individual, they can execute it. So he'll know the areas of the pitch, the positions where the shortcomings are, and then he should be targeting that with a level of player that is going to allow him to execute his master plan, as it were. But is he allowed to choose the players he wants to bring to the club?
I'm guessing he's got input, mate. Saying that he selects them is a tough question, mate. Yeah.
Aye.
You know,
I'm a bit old-fashioned. You know, I just think if a manager's got to fall, live or die by his sword, you can say, well, Man City do. Well, Man City are buying the best players on the planet. So if a manager, you know, of a club like ours playing in our circumstance, you know, the economic circumstance that we play in, has got to fall on his sword, surely you've got to allow him to bring his own players in.
Don't disagree with the sentiment, Linda.
Yeah, I would agree, but as we said earlier, I think it does come down to the finances. It comes down to availability of players as well, Smurf, whether they want to come here. You know, you might approach somebody that you can even afford, but they don't fancy the Scottish League. I think Ox was talking about that a bit last week, you know, and it matters, you know, what sort of money are they looking for in terms of wages. So there's very much a number of factors to take into consideration. But as I said earlier, Smurf, it would be very worrying, I think, if Gio wasn't having even just the final say in what one we pick that's available. You know, and that he's been showing all the analysis and he knows, you know, the player even watching him. So, but it is the sporting director's definitely got a sort of crucial role to play, and we're just not sure that particular person's getting it right just now.
No, I'd agree with that. Aye, yeah, well.
Anyway, Smurf boy, we've been joined by Harry. Evening, Harry.
Evening, Ox. How you doing? Hi, Linda. Hi, Smurf, and how's Billy?
Hi, Harry. Hi, Harry. Paul.
Hi,
how you doing? No bad. I'm just listening to you there, and I was on before, Ox, and just going to hear the finances what Linda's talking about. I think I agree 100%, Linda, what you were saying there, because the last time I come on, Ox, and I was talking to yourself, I had a wee look at your finances, right, and I had a wee look at, I hate to say about that mob across the road, right, but they've released their finances, and a wee look at theirs, right. Now, we tend to spend something like 10 million a season since Jared came in. We did date with Pedro Casino, but we made a few hiccups there, as you know. But we tend to spend roughly about 10 million a season. And then we go maybe and try and get, it's mainly in the midfield, we tend to go and try and get like free agents and guys on loan. And I was saying the last time I was on, when was the last time we spent £3 million in even a quality midfielder, but a midfielder, and it was Pena under the Polish guy, the Portuguese guy, right? And he ended up, don't want to fault the guy, but he ended up with kind of social and habit problems, and it didn't work for that boy. But at the same time, he wasted a lot of money.
Let's just say I like to night out.
Aye, well, I like to night out, but then I think the problem, to be fair to Gio, and I think Jared's seen that just because if you look at Jared's last comment, right, he says, right, we got 55, we have to move on. And I think Stephen Gerrard was told, sorry, we've got a lot of repairs to do here. We've got about, if you look at what's getting said before the figures come out, we've spent £23 million just to try and get Ibrox, Auchenhowie, and that club built. That's a lot of money, Ox, in 2 years when you're only spending 10 million a year on your player side in the park. Then I looked at the figures every year up to this year. 70% when Dave King taken the chairmanship, 70% of our funding for Rangers Football Club was funded by the fans. And ticket sales, jerseys, boat, having 70%, the other 30% was in soft loans. Then Dave King left, and his company, which was connected to the Jersey franchise, because obviously the tax thing, he put it onto Jersey. He had to get £5 million paid out last year to Dave King to fund that. So you're counting 25 million, then another 5 million. It's down to about 50% of the funding that goes in the Rangers for their overheads as with the fans. The other 50% is try to sell shares to bring in money, which they did there, and also still on soft loans. But some of these guys, I won't ask for the money back. Some of these guys are long term, like the Three Bears, that maybe not take any interest. So you're talking about before we sold Patterson, I was looking at before we sold Patterson, we still needed about £7.5 million just to try and finish that season. We sold Patterson in January, so that made that all right. But nobody, up to last season, let's be honest, up to last season was probably the best season, without a shadow of a doubt, in Europe, because we got to the final. Right, so obviously that brings a bit of money.
Thanks very much.
Do you know what I mean? Also,
I get your
there is a lot.
The chairman,
you know, so I think
the chairman said that last year's AGM that I don't think it may have been John Bennett said that we needed £7.5 million to get us through. Obviously,
right.
Before that was factored in. Wait a minute, Harry, just let me speak. Yeah.
Sorry.
My name's on the door. Don't worry about it. So the chairman said that, but obviously we got the revenue from Stevie G leaving, unfortunately. We got 11 years young Patterson leaving. And we managed to stay in Europe after Christmas. I don't think any of these things are factored into your accounts or your planning, Linda, because I don't think you can factor that much anomalies into your account. So financially, even before we kicks off to the end of the season, we've done okay financially. We've started to cover holes. I think, Harry, your 23 million, I believe that was over 3 seasons worth of money that was paid into the upkeep of Ibrox. I think if I picked up correctly for John Bennett last week. So we'll put in roughly £8 million a year. Money you've got to pay, because if the stand's going to fall down, you're not getting your safety certificate and the place is shut and you're not getting that revenue, you'll have to refund season ticket holders. You're then also, Linda, and I'll come to you first. Well, let's be honest, the fans are only back in the door a short time in real terms. Obviously, the bigger clubs have took a bigger hit because of the amount of match day revenue they take in because of what happens at their stadiums. We're one of the big clubs, so we took a big hit. We're coming out of that for a low base for the last since 2012. There's a lot of positives to be looked at. The fact that we're investing in the stadium, we're getting it back up to standard, we're trying to improve it. But if we lose football matches, all that's forgotten.
Yeah, you're right. And the fans, our be all and end all is how we perform on the park. And when during the sort of the years when we were down in the doldrums, we saw that. The number of people that weren't going to games. So if you're successful on the park, that's when people come through the door. But you're also likely to spend other money on the club if you've got a good performing football team. So I totally agree, Ox. I also agree with what you were saying there about the planning for, it's more like guarantees. The revenue that you think you're definitely going to get, 99% sure. So the money we got for Gerrard, you don't know that's coming. It's the same way like obviously the money for Patterson. So that's not guaranteed income. But Harry made a really good point here about the finances and where we were a few years ago, Harry. And I don't know, obviously, we've probably all listened to, some of us, I don't know how many people have listened to the Bisgrove interview that was out today, maybe Ox will touch on that, but still quite staggering, Harry, the number of things that had to be fixed that were, we were in all these long-term contracts, and the club are starting to come out of some of these as well to make the overall experience of being a Rangers supporter and attending.
Anyway, we've been joined. I'm surprised he's joined us this evening, but I shouldn't be. We've been joined by Old Davey. Evening, Old Davey.
Good evening, Mops. How are we? Everybody else? I'm too many on to remember all the names.
Good evening, Old Davey.
Apart from you, Linda.
Hi, David.
You can just see him sitting there with his cravat on, trying to throw the Maltesers in, can't you?
Anyway, it's good to hear you all. Good points, guys. Good points. I just feel sometimes when we're talking, I'm more for what you were started off with about getting the foundation right. You've got to get that right, but you nailed it a minute ago there, Ox, and you says, but you've got to get the results. Because you don't get the results, you could have plenty in the bank and the Bears will all be up in arms. So it's getting the foundation sorted again. And that's more important. But I know we have got to get the results. And come this week, this is going to be a big game for not just the football supporters, for Gio or no. You see how he's going to go about putting a team out there. Because I don't know if he's going to go with the old guard or stick with the boys. Because the tried and trusted ones are not doing it. So this is what it's all about come Saturday.
It'll be interesting, David, to see. Obviously, you've got to get players back for international duty to see what it's going to take you with selection. But I get what you're saying. It'll be interesting to see not just his team, Billy, but how he sets it up.
Entirely correct, Talks. You know what I mean? We didn't know. Obviously, we're none on the show or any of the callers phoning in. We can all predict what we think the starting 11 will be and what kind of formation that our manager will put out in the park. But at the end of the day, mate, it'll be Giovanni will sit down with his coaching team, and he'll see what he's got, how the players have come back for the ones that's went away on international duty. If they're not come back with any knocks or strains or anything like that, hopefully all the ones out in international duty come back fit and healthy, mate. And the ones that we've got that were struggling for injuries there, they can come back, because when we get all that back into the nucleus of the pool that the managers got, then it gives him a good headache, because he can then use his knowledge as a manager, as a tactician, or whatever the case may be, to try and put a team with, for talking sake, if you've got 20 fit and healthy players in the pool, you can say, right, this is what I'm going to do with the starting 11.
Does everybody not get injuries? And you plan?
Of course you do.
Aye, and you can plan. You can plan. Right, we'll get these four players are coming back, and as they come back, another 4 players go.
That's right.
Football.
Aye, that's you're bang on, mate. You're bang on. Unfortunately, that's just part and parcel of football. That's how football works through a full season. Every club, it doesn't matter if you're Glasgow Rangers, Real Madrid, or your pub team down the park. The boys no turn up on Sunday morning, their boys injured. It doesn't matter, mate. That's unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast of football. You're going to pick up injuries, mate, and you're going to have players with illness and struggling for form. That's just what happens. But when you get all these people, all these players back fit and healthy, and you can get them all into your team or into that pool or that nucleus of what you're wanting, it gets everybody on their toes. It raises the confidence levels high.
Competition.
And the competition's brilliant, aye.
Aye, good point. Davey, you're a man of a certain vintage, yes?
Definitely.
Yes. And we know we're not buying, we're not getting your gift in too soon for your birthday, because you never know, you know what I mean? Right.
Hey, I just hope I see my birthday.
And that's my point. Right.
I'll be happy. I'll be more than happy then, I'll tell you that, laddie.
I know, mate, I know.
David, we've got you a Rangers Radio hot water bottle. Is that any good to you?
I'm sitting on one now, so go on it.
So, you're a man of a certain vintage. What do we do as supporters? You've seen a lot of things change in the club. You've seen a lot of things change in society. You've seen this modern world where everybody's got an opinion, and there's even idiots who do a Rangers Radio phone-in show every night, you know what I mean? And give people an outlet to come on. What do we do as supporters? What do we do as fans to drive this show, to drive our club forward?
Just keep doing what we've always done. Keep going. Throw what you've got, if you can afford it, throw it in that direction, and never stop supporting them. That's the only thing you can do. And if you do that, we're going nowhere.
All right. Smurf, how do we drive this club forward?
Aye. What you do is, in my opinion, is, let's say Ross Wilson isn't cutting it. Gio's maybe not cutting it. Whoever, certain players aren't cutting it. And like everybody, the club's perpetual. Everybody at the club's got a shelf life. So I think let's throw our shoulder under them and support them to, for instance, take Glenn Kamara. It's been publicised that maybe he's looking for a move away in January. Well, if he gets picked for the team, he's still a Rangers player. Back him to the hilt till he parts ways. And maybe there's been no accounts published yet. We don't know the true financial picture yet. Give the board a break. Just just give your unadulterated support to every facet of the club, whether it's good or bad or indifferent or they're failing. I think we've got to be loyal and until there's a change of regime or a change in personnel or whatever. So I think that's the best.
All right, mate. All right. Sorry, Fox nearly fell off your chair when you mentioned adultery. Linda, in you come.
Better not say too much about that.
Go ahead, my crash.
Moving swiftly on, as they say. I think Smurf's right. We'll continue to support our club, Ox. I don't think anybody will walk away. I think
we don't do walking away.
Them. We don't do walking away because we've not done it, have we? And there's been quite a lot of things, obviously, that we've had to deal with and we've had to face up to as fans. I think, as I said earlier, and I'm only speaking for myself here, that it is difficult because we want to actually just see a really good team on the park. But I'm trying to understand a wee bit more about the position that the club are in. And there's a lot of things, as I said, that need fixing, and it's just the sort of a age that we're in as well. How they've got to move forward with everything, and they are trying. But they need to communicate more with us, and I do think they appreciate the money that we put into the club. They maybe don't always show it, Ox, because they're constantly asking us to fork out money, and they keep charging us the highest amount of money they can. For example, the Champions League tickets. So sometimes maybe they need to take a wee bit of feedback on things like that, and maybe sort of give us a wee bit of a break financially. Maybe.
All right, I'll go to Harry. Harry with the same question. Then we've been joined by Randy from Crookston. Harry, how do we drive the club forward as supporters, fans?
Similar to what everybody's been saying, Oaks. I just feel that we just need to keep. This is probably the first season for the last 4 years we've started as bad as this. I mean, I know last season we get beat with Malmo and things like that, but no so bad in the league. So I think this is kind of league-wise, this has been the worst for about 4 years, and I think it's kind of shown up.
Against D United last year, didn't we?
You know that, Ox. I do know that, but we're still probably at this time of year. I think we were ahead of that mob. They had lost 3 games, so it wasn't so much in a visual sort of thing for everybody to see. But I think it was Dave that mentioned it there, and I'm sure that's a definite point there. I think everybody's, and Linda's mentioned it as well. If you're going to have a team in the park, you need 2 players for every position. And I don't think Gio's got that in the new Ox, really, because we've got practically probably get about £10 million, but I've said before that we've spent this season, no kicked a ball. You're talking about the boy from Turkey, the boy Dreyfus, and the boy Matondo, Charlie. That's about £10 million, Ox. And then the player, I think it was Smurf that was saying that you need somebody to bomb forward to help the forward. I think he relied on Lawrence for that, and then all of a sudden he gets injured. So you've got players that's been kind of injured at difficult times and ranked times, and plus we've been thrown right into playing Champions League games. So it's like 2 games a week before even the season started. So it's a lot of football, and that mob never had that, and needed the rest of the club. So that let them just, do you know what I mean, mate? So I think we just need to get behind the club, you know?
I get it, mate. I get it. Just, Billy, just check my emails out. I've been inundated with emails. Ladbrokes, William Hill, Bet6, you name them. And they're not saying the same thing, Billy. If we could get South to do a Super 6 twice a week. Right, okay. All right.
Oh, come on, listen. I got to dig in at the big man to start with, man. You're just keeping it. You're going too far now, Ox. You're being bad now. No, be perfectly honest with you, he was hopeless at the weekend. Hopeless.
I'm sure he'll get me back. We'll be joined by Andy. Evening, Andy.
Good evening, Ox. Good evening, Billy. Good evening, everybody on the board. Linda, everybody.
Good evening,
Billy. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Andy.
This is on.
Hi, Andy.
Good evening.
Andy.
Basically, just wanted to, first time I phoned in for a wee bit. What I wanted to say, just basically, first of all, we're going on about like getting a house in order and stuff, and the ground fix. Obviously, that is what the chairman was, not chairman, the interview. What
you talking with John Bennett? With John Bennett?
John Bennett, that's the one. Sorry, obviously, to get the house in order and the stadium fixed, that's priority. That's absolute priority. But what I wanted to get back to is obviously Rangers have known about this and known that the stadium and what's needed to be the cost of it and stuff like that. So obviously they've had to budget for that and blah blah blah. But I want to get back on the park and my worries about this team, Ox. I know we're 2 points behind, and that's thanks to St Mirren for that. I just can't get my head round Gio's tactics. It's for me. It's really, 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 really for me. It's worrying. If you ask me, it really is. I think, all right, we've got a couple of injuries, but we've still got enough there in the locker to beat teams like Dundee United comfortably, and going out the exact same tactics against Celtic. 3-0 down at half time, no learn nothing for February. I just feel that it's a horrible thing to say, but I don't think Gio has got this. I don't know if it's the league or all right. The guy got to a European final, but it's. I don't know. I'm worried about this team and the spirit, and I don't know if it's coming from the players or.
Well, no, you're right to say we've not played well this season. I think we wouldn't be telling the truth if you said we've been consistent this season, Linda. But it was a good point made, I think, by Harry there. We've had 4 pressurised games that nobody else has faced in Scotland. With injuries at the same time. Every club gets injuries. Yeah, I get that. We've had to deal with that. We've got there. We can go top of the league on Saturday. And hopefully the season starts again. If we can get a performance. We've got a free hit on Tuesday night. Big game. We'll go into that hoping to win, like we always do. We'll see where it takes us. But the bread and butter Saturday and we get a result there, well, that's another difficult away game out the way. Linda?
Yeah, definitely, Ox. And Andy, you're right to be concerned because I think we all feel the same way. The pressurised games certainly, Ox, because the club and everything was made about this Champions League purse, and if we didn't get it, we would be losing out on all that money. And as we've come to understand that 40 million figure and all that's exaggerated anyway, but there still was a lot of pressure on them to get us there, and they did. The thing about it, Ox, is that a lot of the players are just not in good form just now, and I think we all recognise that. So we're hoping that they've used the couple of weeks for the international break. We usually don't like these breaks, but it actually came at a good time in my opinion, Ox. I thought we needed it. And you're hoping that they'll come back and a wee bit refreshed and just, start. It starts now on Saturday because they have to, Ox, because if they continue to play the way that they have been, we've got no confidence that they're actually going to go out and win games. Just one wee thing about the Dundee United game. If we had a couple of players that had their shooting boots on, we would have been 5-0 up at half time and the rest of that game's a breeze.
Correct. Linda, sorry for interrupting. Is that not been a problem most of the season? No, I know we've not really started games too good, but we've seemed to be missing plenty of chances, and it's. If I'm being honest, Andy, if I'm being honest, I think it's different for that. In games, we've not been making enough chances.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's true. Because that before Dundee United, we'd went. I think it was it 12 games we hadn't scored in the first 30 minutes. That's concerning. That was before the Dundee United game. We hadn't scored a goal within the first 30 minutes of a game. So,
Davey, are we reading too much into this? It's a
Well,
marathon season.
of course, I've said that. I've said that for day one. Then the way things have gone, we're jumping the gun here. I'd just like to answer what Andy was saying there about his tactics. I'll put this to you. How can you have tactics when none of them's playing? If they can't play to his tactics, you can't blame his tactics because they're all up for him. And it's not just one. There's 3 or 4 of them.
Can I ask you again? You might have lost me.
What?
You said if he's playing his say it again. Say what you said again.
I was just saying. No. Can you spell that word?
Aye.
I can't. Anyway, no, I was just answering what Andy was talking about, that he was worried about the tactics. Okay,
right.
How can you play tactics when you can't play the game? If you're not playing in form, you can't play the tactics, can you?
All right. So you're saying do the basics right, then everything starts clocking into place.
Well, that's what good players do, isn't it?
Okay. All right. Is that oversimplifying things, Smurf? But I get his point, especially if you get a win. You get confidence, the game gets easier, doesn't it?
Do you know what? It's make a 3-yard pass. Do the simple things. Get confidence is completely missing. It's gone, and the team, you can see that. I often wonder what the conversation piece would be had we won the Europa League last season. What personnel would still be there? How confidence would be? How we would have started the season? How we would have been able to plan going into the season, knowing we were going into the Champions League? Would more money have been made available? And the narrative might be completely different. So I think I wouldn't underestimate the hangover from the loss in that final. And I also wonder that we've got a 10 or 12 million pound budget if we're catering to Europa League football. Remember when Jelavic came to Ibrox and the great Walter Smith was given a budget for that season, and he spent the entirety of that budget on Jelavic, and how much of a success Jelavic was and what he contributed. I wonder if that's a better way to go for, rather than sort of trying to pick up 2 or 3 okay players within the constraints of your budget. You better just go and get the best player you can in your most pressing position for that, the entirety of your budget, if your budget's small, because it might sound like a lot of money in a Scottish circumstance, but wider football, in the big 5 leagues, it's shrapnel, and
all right, gentlemen, and Linda, and Old Davey. We've reached that time of the evening where we're going to have a tune.
How many years ago, my boys, I left the Glasgow town. I followed the pull of the Yankee land and here have settled down. Although I miss the Bridgeton Cross and my friends so near and dear, what I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can talk of California where the sun shines all the year. You can bomb about your Broadway lights so clear. But it would fill my heart with sadness, it would fill my heart with cheer if we only had the Rangers over here. For they're the finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. We're the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean that quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can buck up California where the sun shines all the year. You can bum about your Broadway life so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer and we only had the Rangers over here. For they're the finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. For the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean this quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can talk of California where the sun shines all the year. You can bomb about your Broadway life so clear. But it would fill my heart with sadness, it would fill my heart with cheer, if we only had the Rangers over here. If we only had the Rangers over here. If we only had the Rangers over here.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Okay, Billy, you wanted to come back in there, mate?
Aye, cheers, Ox. Oh, it's just to touch on a couple of the points here that the callers, Andy and Smurf and that were talking about recently there. Smurf, I think when we're talking about philosophy, mate, when you think about it in a football term, for talking sake, if you remember when Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was at Barcelona, right? They get taught to play in a specific formation or a specific style of football, right? And all the individual players, no matter if you're a winger or a midfield player or whatever the case may be, right? They're told to stay in that position. And just to touch on a wee quick story, Thierry Henry played for Barcelona, right? And he scored 2 goals in the second half for Barcelona. And he went away out his position to score the 2 goals. Pep Guardiola gave him a bollocking at full time, even though he scored 2 goals. Right? And he dropped him for the next game, even though he scored 2 goals. And that was Thierry Henry, right? Now that tells me that the manager's trying to tell the specific players to play in that specific position. Now that sometimes can nullify players like you're talking about Ryan Kent's and whatnot, when he's getting 2 and 3 players and he's not doing what we all expect him to do as a winger, get to the byline and take players on in that. But maybe that's what Giovanni is trying to install in his players for individual positions. Maybe that's what he's trying to do regarding the philosophy, if you get me.
When you're shopping at Harrods,
you know what I mean, mate?
When you're shopping at Harrods, when you're shopping at Harrods, mate, and you get the best food, your sandwich is different, innit? We're not shopping at Harrods, mate. People, and we're also,
I know, mate.
We'll go to win the leagues again. And his philosophy is great in theory, but if it's not working, if you're not making enough chances, simple as that, and scoring enough goals, your tactics aren't working, Linda. It doesn't matter how much of the ball you've got or how much shape you've got, or the guys keep their shape great, and they go, oh, he's doing a good job for he's staying in position. The game's all about putting the ball in the back of the net, Linda.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, apart from, I did say about the Dundee United game in the first half, we had some chances, but you're right, we haven't been creating enough chances. I mean, some of the games we're watching, there's no tempo, there's no pace to the game. They don't seem to be going for it. They seem to be sitting back, too many sideways passes. And Gio's been asked about these tactics at some of these pressers, and he doesn't sometimes like them questioning, how he's setting the team up. I mean, I don't think he's telling them to sit back. I refuse to believe that. Don't go forward, don't try and create chances. But as I said earlier, some of them are just off forum walks. But there are certain things that he needs to change. And we said earlier on there about the striking position. and obviously he seems to have changed the zonal marking at corners because we're conceding far too many. But I think he definitely has to be a wee bit more flexible in his approach to games.
And the opposition as well. Anyway, we'll get some people on of a certain vintage, obviously way before me and Linda's time, but the Advocate's birthday today. I'm just going to ask you, Smurf, who was Advocate's greatest signing?
Way. Oh.
We didn't sign George Way.
No, I'm trying to think who would I say was the greatest signing?
Hurry up, I've got my work in the morning.
Aye. Hard one, that.
I'll come back to you. I'll give you time.
Aye, come back. Aye, can you? Aye.
All right, we'll play another tune, give you a bit of time, all right? Right.
Please do a bit slower than that.
Oh, David.
You better put an LP on for me.
No, it'll be an EP.
You must be older than that thing here. Do you remember EPs? They're coming back now, by the way. They're making a return. Anyway, I'm not too sure, but I was going to say Michael Moles, but I don't think he signed him. I think Smith signed.
He did. He was signed by the Advocate, mate.
So I'll pass on that one.
I'll go for Michael Moles. That's a great shout, Davey.
Well, he was some player to go at Novel, you know. He was the next Pele.
Okay, it was fantastic. Harry?
Michael Moles.
Michael Moles, aye.
Michael Moles, aye. I was going to say one of the DeBoers there, Ronald DeBoer, but I'm going to go for Michael Moles.
I would say, I've thought about it.
Well done.
Rodney Wallace, because he got him on a free, and the return that he got for a free transfer out to Rod Wallace was sensational.
Aye, I get it. Scored the winning goal. He won the against them. Aye, good shout. Andy?
Gio.
Giovanni himself. Oh. Billy?
Oh, mate, I've got to go for Arthur Newman.
Arthur Newman?
Mm-hmm.
Linda's went for Amoruso. I don't know why. Linda?
I might have gone for that, but I think it was Walter Smith that signed him. I think Rod Wallace is a good shout in terms of sheer value for money, but it would have been Michael Moles for me. If he hadn't got the injury, I'd never seen a player like him at Rangers, and I thought he was absolutely terrific. And it was just a shame about his injury.
Aye, then he he was raised for a few years, but he never played the amount of games he should have done.
No.
I think entertainment-wise, when he came on the scene, he was second to none, Billy, yeah? But Arthur Newman, he was a Rolls Royce player and all. Never played again after he left us, Billy. Arthur Newman retired.
An absolute class act, Arthur Newman, mate. I mean, you watched him playing for he was just an absolute proper football player, eh? He had pace, he could tackle, he could read the game, he could score, he could pop up and score some rippers as well. You know what I mean? He controlled, he spoke, he never ever looked flustered or out of place. And I mean, Michael Moles, how good was Michael Moles, mate? You talk about turning a sixpence. That guy, the way he used to turn one way and turn the opposite way, mate, it was, I don't know how many defenders' shorts were turned outside in until he got that horrific knee injury, mate. But what a player Michael Moles was. And listen, Ox, they're a question and all, mate. I can't mind how much the Rangers paid for Michael Moles, but how much would he be worth now?
It's a bit old now.
He's a bit old, a bit like yourself.
We'll be joined by Alex Wishaw. How you doing, Alex? All right, mate?
Hi, Alex.
Good evening, all. Here, Linda,
Evening,
Billy,
Alex.
everybody else.
Hi, Alex.
There's too many to
Hi,
mention.
Alex.
Everybody keeping good?
Aye,
Well,
good, mate.
I'm just really call it regarding what more of the support can do.
Yeah.
Team. I'm positive about it, but I believe the supporters they can't keep going to the well much more, by the way. It's quite expensive now to follow the club. I know exactly what I pay in that, and I do it just for the love of the support. I think what's really caused it all is the expectations after the Europa final, and we were looking for far better performances. And I think it's became a bit unplanned now. Although we're all looking for to get into Europe, we all wanted to get in the Champions League. So we knew all these games was going to come up. And unfortunately, with a lack of injuries in that, and we lost two probably top players in Bassi and Aribo. And I think this is where the panic set in. I think we thought Goldstein was going to go, and that's where we made the panic buy to bring in John Suter. And it was the same when Calvin Bassey gets sold. They're looking round about there in the boat Ben Davis, and it's cost us £4 million. And we're hoping now, after an international break now, this is going to give the guy a chance to come on the park and see what he can do. But I believe it's just been unplanned, that we knew the games was coming up and we had the squad that the fans really thought we had.
I've always got sympathy for injuries, but Alec, we've discussed it at length the last couple of weeks, and honestly, with recruitment, we've signed players, and maybe we've been unlucky. Roof and Hollander, yeah, they've not played a lot for us, but if you also look at them before, they had injury problems before they came to us. Is that unfortunately, is that the market that Scottish football is at now, that you've got to take a gamble on people? Because as the other teams, the other countries' revenue streams go away, we're shopping at that market.
Unfortunately, that's what it is. Really, there's no any good Scots players round about that we could have tried to sign. Probably the chance to sign the young boy Doig there last year before he left Hibs to go away. I think he went to Germany. I think with the chance to sign a young boy I thought was a right good prospect, that young Ally McCoist that left St Johnstone to go to Preston. I believe he'd have fit it into Rangers midfield now. Because we've got to, I keep on about bringing the young boys through, and a lot of people are thinking, nah, it's not the right time. That last week we played Dundee United there. They're the bottom of the league. That's the ideal opportunity to get these young boys on the park. And I know they made mistakes, Ian King and also Charlie McCann. But we've got to persevere with these kids, because this is the lifeblood of the team now. No less we can bring some more quality in. But it's a hard shift to try and get these players. And I think the friendly games we played, West Ham and that, we seen Matondo, we thought, this guy could be a player.
Aye, I get you, mate, I get you. But he's disappeared since. Listen, I appreciate how difficult it is. I just think we've not got the recruitment right. Linda?
No, you're right. I think it's not even just this summer, isn't it? It's over the last sort of 2 to 3 seasons. We just don't seem to have strengthened in key areas. There's been very little investment in the midfield. You were talking about that earlier on. And this right-sided forward position as well, we've been crying out for, a quality person to come in there. And we thought maybe Matondo, as Alex said there, was going to, do well for us. But my understanding is that he's better playing off the left. That's where he's had all his success. So again, we're trying to play somebody there that's not maybe their favoured position. But no, the recruitment definitely hasn't worked out for us. We just don't seem to have strengthened, and I think that's the major issue for us, Ox.
Aye. Alex, we wish you I get it, but people can only go to the well so often. People have only got so much money, especially in this economic climate. It's a problem with football, not just at our club, but all over, that the players are taking too much money at the game. If we're being honest about that, Alex.
That's right, it's the wages we're paying them and all, but all we're really looking for is a good product in the park. The season's really started, he's been up and down. The players we've got have not really all clicked together now. But then saying that, everybody wanted us to get in the Champions League, so we managed to get there. As I say, with injuries and that, it's a hard watch. I just hope that national break has gave us something to all cling on to here, and they'll start buying in to what the manager's trying to do. Tactical, I've heard everybody saying he does not get tactics, he does not get the full up. But Davey made a good point there. See, if the players aren't playing to their potential, you're always going to have that. It's unusual you maybe get 7 or 8 players all form at the one time. Let's be quite truthful here. I'm just, as I said before, I'm getting my hope here on Saturday. People's get us up there and we're going to be winning and all this. We all want to win. But the way we've been playing before it, this is a tough game going to Tynecastle. Everybody knows that. And we'll need to be right up for it because Hearts will up for it.
Well said, Alec.
Yeah, mate. Well said, mate. Sorry, I didn't realise you were finished yet. You're right, You need a bit of luck, bit of confidence, get things right. A good performance. Linda says if we take the chances against Dundee United, this conversation's so different. Harry?
It's just what everybody's been saying, Ox. I just think that we're waiting for a performance because the first 2 games, which I spoke about, we had 4 high-profile games, but I think everybody was saying you had Lawrence having shots, you had even Kamara trying a shot, you had the... See, now see the last 4 or 5 games, nobody wants to shoot their pass and then another pass. I've said this, I've always used this horseshoe thing. It goes for Kane, back to the defenders, back to the Henry, and people pick up that dead easy, and as Linda says before, the first 4 games, for somebody that's done the coaching, his first 4 games was all about, zonal marking. And then he knew right away that wasn't working. You could tell, because the last 2 games we've not touched zonal marking. And we've had a better defensive thing. I'm not saying we've played brilliant, but we've been better at defending because you're defending a man rather than defending a space. And and you're watching the ball better instead of waiting for a ball to come into a space. So it's been so I've seen a wee slight difference in goals then, but I still think I agree with Alex there before. I still think Tavernier's playing with some kind of injury. I hope he's all right now. He's had 2 weeks off. I still thought, there's still problems in that defence, and, that kind of worries me. And I'm not too 100% on the John McLaughlin thing whatsoever. I think that boy's confidence has went since that last game. I just hope it is McGregor that's still in. But I think this game is going to be more crucial, put it that way, than anything we've got after it, because and including Liverpool game in it, I just think we've just got to put everything into this game on Saturday, and whatever happens at Liverpool happens. I just think everything's got to be structured just for this one game to win it.
Well, it's the next game, Linda. It's the most important. If we've got to create...
I know we always...
chances. Yeah. Linda?
I know we always think about it. Sorry, Ox. I know we always think about that, but I just think the league's more important this year.
If you want me to call you, just let me know, Harry. Carry on.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Ox.
That's all right. You don't need to apologise, mate. Carry on.
It's okay, Harry. That's okay, Harry. It happens often. It's no, you're right. Saturday's game, one game at a time. It's a massive game on Saturday, and as Ox said earlier, we've no kicked a ball really all season apart from the odd game. And if we win on Saturday, and I know we're going to have to play a lot better, we could go top of the league. And it doesn't matter if it's only for 24 hours. At the end of the day, we could still be top of the league. And let's hope they can kick on from that.
Ox, I'm just going to say good night to you all, okay, mate?
All right, if you want to say just shut up, you can say good night to Linda yourself, yeah?
No.
Good night, David.
Good night, young lady. You take that. Don't you listen to him. But I'd just like to say another great show, guys. And that's my nurse just come in with my hot water bottle. So that's when I know it's time to go. So good night, boys and girls, and no surrender. Bye-bye.
We'll need to try to see you being nurse to come in at 5 to 8, Billy.
I'm going to say good night as well, Ox. Thanks very much for having me on. Linda as well.
I'm not Bill Newton as Ox.
Cheers, Andy. Good to speak to you, mate.
Right, good night, guys.
Good night, Andy.
Good night. Good night, Alex. Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Andy.
Good night,
you've got to laugh, Alex, haven't you? You've got to laugh. Alex, if you're a football man, aren't you? You're a football. You love football at all levels, and I know you've been involved with youth football and that. But what would you do if you were with the Shea or the personnel? What would you do? How would you address this issue? Lack of confidence, lack of goals, lack of opportunities. What would you do?
Firstly, you get them back onto the training ground again.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to get back to the basics with them. Explain what the system is and what the tactics. The zonal marking, everybody knew that in their dogs. It wasn't going to be working. So he's rectified that. We had a problem with the goalkeeping situation as well. We didn't know if it was going to be John McLaughlin or Alan McGregor. Now it's back to Alan McGregor, which is fine. The defence just seems so unsettled compared to last year. And I do believe what Harry was saying there, I believe Tavernier is carrying a bit of an injury. It's a bit of, it doesn't say too much that we can't put a replacement in there to be quite helpful. We're playing in the Scottish Premiership. We should be able to, a young boy Devine should be able to get in there. That's how I look at it. We'll never realise how good these kids are till we put them into the team. And everybody now is going to start realising what it's like to play the Rangers. I don't think it's a good thing as well with Morales and Kane. A year left of their contracts. That should have been well sorted before this. And I believe that could be a hindrance as well with the team. They don't really know what to do. I've says it right, Ryan Kent. Should have got took out the team there a couple of weeks back there, just for his own help. I felt, would you call it, his confidence was just shot. Because we rely on him too much. That's the bottom line with Ryan Kent. And when he has a bad game, everybody's right on him. And that's the downfall of the team. We've not got enough cover. And the signings we've made have not really been up to standard at the present. Unfortunately, it's a gamble. And it's kind of gambled in a big, big way the new is. But saying that, as I say, we go to Tynecastle on Saturday, and we might get a wee bit running the green here and a bit of luck. But we'll need more than that to go in and try and win this league.
All right, we've been joined by Big Al. Evening, big man.
Evening, how are you all?
How are we doing, mate? Good to hear from you.
Evening, Big Al.
Hi, mate.
Hello, Linda. How are you? Is that old Davey trying to cut my grass here? You better watch yourself.
I think it's done. I think it's done.
I don't own a cravat, and I'm sitting in my car seat. I've got the heated seats on. He's got a water bottle, man. Savage. I don't know. Where do we start? On the front pages again. The club taking money off us. I paid for strips that season as well. Who was in charge of the club then? Dave King?
Oh, that's a good point. 2018-19.
Aye.
A lot of the same people would be there. Dave King would have been.
They were all there. The three bears were there. So, I mean, I think it's been brushed under the carpet somewhat anyway, because when I got up this morning, I checked for the usual outlets online and all that, and there wasn't much getting said about it. I think there's only one thing on that Facebook, on your follow. Anyway, I'm not a money man. I kind of agree with, is it Alex? I agree with Alex. I think there's only so long. Look, I do as much. Like, you just go to the games, buy a season ticket. So I do as much as I can for a year. I buy the strips. I buy some merchandise. I do that. I try and put my dollar in as much as I can. For me, the focus is the football. Now, what I'm going to say is, I think we're spreading ourselves too thin. He's talking about tactics here, and I think Gio's got an eye on this, European, he's got an eye on the league. I think all we need, because I know the happiest time of my life was when we won 9 in a row. We had no Europe.
Somebody's got a show on. All right, carry on. Back to you. Carry on, Big Man.
Aye. So, as I say, the kind of happiest time in my life was when we're doing the 9 in a row. Now, there was no European success within that, but what there was success on the park within the league. I think we have to focus, like you're saying, telling the players to go back to basics. I think the club has to go back to basics and just focus completely on the league. Anything there and after is gravy. Until we get, we'll always be spreading ourselves too thin. It'd be great to get another European run, but you know what? At the end of the season, I want to win the league, and next season I want to win the league. And when we did win the league, we didn't go for on that position of strength. And I don't agree with Smurf. I thought the other night there, Tavy's rant and all that, he was getting stuff off his chest. But the one thing he did, the pertinent point he said tonight, I think it is, you focus on just the 2 or 3 signings. No bringing in 5 or 6. 2 or 3 of them are already injured because you're shot them in the bargain basement. Just go and get 2 or 3 or just 1 or 2 quality signings that are going to take you to the next level. I can't see any signings that we've made over the past 5 years, probably even the past 10 years, that took us to the next level. Even when we were in the 4th tier of Scottish football, some of the players were 4th tier football players, to be quite honest. They never took us to the next, you know what I mean? It was just because we were bigger, stronger, that we won the leagues. I think we're spreading ourselves too thin. I think the focus should be totally on the league. And also, if Van Bronckhorst has got a squad of 23 players, even if the quality isn't there, that player that comes in and fills in for the other player, whoever's injured, should be on the same page. They should be getting told all the same things. This is the way we want to play. This is if he's not on the team, you're on the team. You play the exact same way as he's playing, and then that then comes into the coaching. We've got enough coaches here. We're signing guys for Manchester City. Did we know a new guy? What's his curriculum vitae say? Is he a good coach? We've got this Dutch guy. We've got Van Bronckhorst. Is Mackay still there? I don't know. You've got a goalkeeper coach. I think the focus should just solely be on the league. That's my wee bit of rant over.
All right, yeah. I think some fair comments in there, Alan. You know, I get what you're saying.
Thanks very much, Ox.
Yeah, the league is good. He's right when he says that, Linda. Yeah, we want to win other trophies. We want to compete in Europe. The European thing is, when you talk about it, it's usually finance in football, Linda.
No, you're right, Alan. We were brought up with trophies. You know, it wasn't just one trophy. It was, you were winning doubles and, you know, and trebles, and that's what we want to get back to. I mean, the European runs, Al, have brought us in much needed revenue. We do understand that, don't we? And, you know, we've done well, and it is helping us. But see, now we just want success on the park. We got to a European final. It was great. Unfortunately, we didn't win. It would have been absolutely wonderful. We got to the Champions League, Al, but we're not doing that well because the golfing class is there for everybody to see, isn't it? Despite the fact we're not.
I know, but
well.
you could, Linda. You could put up a better fight. Like I think we got caught on the hop probably in the first game, didn't we?
Yeah.
The Napoli game seemed a bit better, but then they just cranked it up another gear, and we can't compete with that. Yeah, but I think coming out of that, I'm not saying there was positives to take out, but I think it was acceptable to us as fans. We could see that it was a far better team, but we played a lot better, and we gave a good account of ourselves. Although the result, the 3-0 thing, wasn't great, we still had a better account. So I think we as fans, we're acceptable of things like that.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's the domestic forum, Al, that's really worried everybody.
That's ripping your 90, isn't it?
It's definitely the domestic forum, because as you said, we weren't thinking we were going to beat the Champions League teams, but we were expecting better performances. But it's the way that we've performed domestically that's worrying everybody. I think you're right there.
I don't think it's so much. I'll go to Alex for Wishaw with this. Alex, I don't think it's just I don't think it's the results. I think it's the performances. We drew Easter Road. We huffed and puffed. All right, we had 2 players sent off and we lost a goal in the last minute. There was reasons for it, but we didn't play great. And then the next away game, we were atrocious. And that's magnified through the European thing. We've looked at the performance in Amsterdam. We went there with the team with Gascoigne and Laudrup in it and get beat back in the day. But it was a performance that night. The goals we gave away, the just schoolboy stuff. You think they'd never seen each other before. So that's the cause for concern. Not the fact we've lost a couple of football matches.
The performances have been really, really poor. We've made a lot of errors in all the games, man. And you can see there's no fluency in the team. There's certainly no pace in the midfield. As I say, I hope now we can just pick it up now with this international break. This is going to be a magic wand because we're all really hoping now that we can go to another level. I'm getting into hope, to be quite truthful. What I've witnessed with the team now, if we don't take your chances as well, and the fault of the one guy, Big Show Lads gets all the chances, and the guys, he's been a decent signing. He's at least, he's done what we're voting for. The rest of the guys, you can either, what do you call it, you've got your own ideas how good they are or what they're not to be. It just seems to be all over the ship, you know, the team. Scottish League, as we know, is the bread and butter. But I've got to admit myself, and all the guys, they love going to Europe. It's absolutely fantastic. But you've got to have a team to get in there and compete. We're all going down to Liverpool on Tuesday. I think there's maybe about 4 tickets between us. We're all going to the fan zone. My 2 boys missed out the my jersey with 2 points. There you go. That's another thing. They're involved in everything. I'm silver, so I know I'm not going to get that, but that's another thing. We've got 51,000 in the my jersey now, and I think there's 3,000 in the gold, if I'm correct. That's causing a wee bit of problem now, I know. I believe with the support now. Because, no, that
I don't know how you solve that issue. I don't know how
no,
you
that's
solve
what I was going to say. This is what I try to explain it. I'm not a better supporter than the guy that can't make the games and watches Rangers TV and that. We're all Rangers supporters in it together here. But there is a wee bit divide here, Oxia. Believe me, because of what's happened with the my jersey now. And it's very difficult, man, to solve it. I believe it'd been better just putting a £40 donation into the team at the beginning. Because I buy all the merchandise, as I said before. But I feel now it's getting really, really tough. Things are going to be really hard now, the situation we're in.
I was speaking to our big European correspondent today, and we get on to the topic of my jersey. And I don't really know how we solve that issue, because if you have 1,000 tickets, Linda, and the first 1,000 are happy and number 1,001's not happy, I don't know how you solve it, and I really don't know how you make it. If you look at it as a marketing person's dream, because what you're doing is you're giving customers points every time they purchase what you want them to purchase, and I think it's a great idea in theory, but whether it's fair is up for debate. Linda?
Yeah, I totally agree. Alex makes a good point as well, and I think it's been a bone of contention. It's causing a lot of issues. There's a lot of disagreements. I don't think it'll change, Ox. They're said that they'll take feedback. They know that they're oversubscribed for away tickets. I think it said today 20,000 applications for every away game. That they said that there's drawbacks to the system that they've got in place, but I really don't know how they solve it. They're not going to change it, I don't think, with 51,000 people that have signed up. But I don't know how they can make it more fair, Ox. I really don't.
Well, it's difficult. I really don't. I sympathise with all the boys that can try and go in all the away games, Alex, and all the boys that are trying to get tickets for the big games. I sympathise with them because I know how difficult it is myself, and I just don't know how you make it fairer.
It's very difficult. The away games, man, as you see yourself, doesn't help because we don't get a big allocation.
No, like back in the day.
Most of the teams. So we've got that's one of the problems. But the thing is, with the my jersey, I believe there's 3,000 in the gold. I might be wrong there, but see if there's 3,000 ox there, and we're getting allocation. I don't know what the allocation for Anfield was. I think it was at 1,200. I believe that's what it is. So they've got to be a cut-off. I know that, but I know the kind of money, and you'll know yourself how much money everybody's putting into the club and that. And it's very difficult. You try to be fair with it and that, but I don't see the tickets. I hope all the tickets goes to the supporters ox there. That's what I'm saying. Out the majors. And if there's corporate and different things in that and they're getting it, I hope it's coming from different sources in that, because the bread and butter of the club is the supporters. Your Rangers supporters club, that's it started now. We're even getting an allocation now for our away games. It's never been known.
No, I get it, mate. The buses, to run a bus now with tickets is just a nightmare for people that are the away games. Are just trying to organise. They're trying to run a bus. They're trying to organise it. They're trying to get tickets for the buses, and people are trying to get their own tickets. No, like back in the day when people just turned up, Billy. They took their seat in the supporters bus. The bus convener gave out the tickets and collected the subs. It's a nightmare trying to run a supporters bus now. They've got every sympathy. But people would argue we're victims of our own success. Was the Scottish football changed, Billy, and the Gruns are too wee, really for our away support, if I'm being honest.
Well, listen, Mox, what can I say about that one, mate? I mean, I've said this one on numerous occasions, and I'll say it again. Excuse me. Glasgow Rangers away support have lined every football club's pockets from top to bottom for as long as I can remember. And I'm sure the guys like, say, Alex and that there, they'll remember going to away gruns when they were following the Rangers, mate. So we've done that for years and years and years. But it must be an absolute nightmare for the supporters clubs to try and dig out tickets, mate, because all the boys, they do a fantastic job, mate. I mean, sometimes they can't maybe put a full bus on, so the two clubs are running, a couple of Rangers clubs will run together to help one another out, for talking sake, so they can put their allocation together to fill a bus type thing, so that the supporters clubs are no running at a loss, so their members can go and get to the away games, So I mean, it's incredible. But listen, if they don't want us, that's up to them. You know what I mean? My heart and my soul goes out to all the Rangers fans that go to away grounds or week in, week out, or every second week, they go abroad and support the Rangers and all that. Do you know what I mean? And domestically, mate, if they're no want us, listen, they'll be the sorry ones at the end of the day in all this, mate, because all they're doing is cutting their nose off to spite their face.
All right, I think we've been joined by Davy. Evening, Davy.
Evening, Ox. Evening, panel.
Long
time no speak. Not too bad. I just been listening to the show tonight, and they're on about the performance in the domestic games.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a couple of things, and I've spoken to you before about this. We're either lazy or we're no fit, or the tactics a manager puts out. Because we keep harping on about teams coming to Ibrox and even going away from home, parking the bus and 10 men behind the ball. Surely that's doing it the way we play. We're too slow. All Davy could play centre half for us. For God's sake, it's like the walking football that they play. You see them advertising that in Glasgow. Teams playing the walking football for the old days pensioners and that. That's exactly the way we play. We get so far up the park, and their midfield are not going forward to back up the defenders, and we're too far apart. And it's the midfield. I heard I can't remember if it's Blue Star or that a couple of weeks or last week on about the same thing. The midfield are like statues. The 3 games we lost 11 goals. The teams are just ghosting past us. We didn't know how to defend. When you're defending, you shouldn't be any more than an arm's length away from a defender. And guys are giving them 10 yards and all the rest of it. And letting them come on to you. It's basic stuff. And you've got all these coaches. What are they doing? And I keep hearing you on about we didn't make chances. There has been games we've made about 20 odd chances. We've not scored a couple of goals. It's absolutely shocking. What's Roy Mackay doing? Because you're a brilliant player doesn't mean you're a brilliant coach. Now, I'm not saying he's a good or bad coach, but that's the guy who's one of the top players. He was one of the top players. And if we can't learn off of that, there's something wrong. Either that, there's somebody like Ally, a good player, but a terrible coach.
Listen, it's whether you could have a great message, but I wonder if these people don't want to take the message in. If there's a let's just say a breakdown in trust and confidence, then you have to. Where's the issue? Is it the players or is it the manager? And usually, ultimately, the coaching staff will be the ones that lose out because that's the way football works. But Davey's right. We know we watched our team. We ain't playing well. We haven't played well. We've had a couple of decent performances away in Eindhoven. Eindhoven was a cracking game of football. Maybe the best we've had all season. But generally, we haven't played well, and hopefully we can come out of this slump come Saturday, 12:30. Linda?
Yeah, Ox. I mean, the probably the two PSV games and the Union game at Ibrox was probably, the three best games that I think that we've played this year. There's a couple of games. I think the 4-0 game at we played St Johnstone at home. So we scored the 4 goals. That was reasonable. But other than that, we just haven't looked great at all. Davey's right about the tempo. There's not a lot of pace about the team. They seem to be slow. We don't want to get ourselves forward quickly. Kill teams off. I mean, the performances have been really, really poor. But as we said earlier, we're only 2 points behind in the league, but we do have to really, really improve, Ox, because we can't just rely on another team dropping points all the time. We need to, put on the performances ourselves and start winning football games, but also winning with a bit of style and play well. And then obviously we'll be right behind them, but they do need to improve, because if they don't, Ox, we simply aren't going to win anything this year.
No, because we'll drop more points. Alex.
I totally agree. We spoke about the performances before, and it's all lethargic the way we're playing. But you're bringing up the PSV game. That's probably the best performance. Everybody bought on exactly what we were doing. It was back to the wall stuff in certain times and that. Need a few chances as well. But we managed to get out it and we got the result. And as I said before, the expectations of the support, we're reaching a high standards. That's what we're expecting. But we've not got the same kind of players that we had away back years ago. Let's be quite truthful about it. And we're just hoping that we can, maybe 2 or 3 signings is going to lift the team. I just hope these guys that we've got now, that's had the injuries and that, they can come in and enhance the team and get us to a better level. But everybody's got to play. It's got to be this way now, because the Scottish League, yourself, every game we play is a cup tie. And I go back to it again. Hearts will be right up for this, and they'll be looking for a scalp as well. And it's a good thing we've got the 12:30 kick-off, because we get a result that puts a bit of pressure on them, because they've not had pressure at the moment as well. And they're going to find it difficult as well, and playing the Champions League Wednesdays and Saturdays. It's a difficult thing to do. But we're very thin on the squad, Ox. That's how I look. I'd like to see a couple of signings coming in, right quality signings. I don't know how much money the club's got or what they've not got now. There's mixed messages comes out all the time now. And that's the last thing. The last thing you want to worry about was money and all that. After last year, the cup final, coming in to win the Scottish Cup as well, with big expectations this year, as I've said before.
Can I ask you a question, Alex?
When you go, big out.
Right. Would you sacrifice the new Edmondson house to have had a couple of quality signings? Because I think personally it's an expense. Why do we need that at the moment?
Well, to be quite truthful, it was announced at the beginning this was going ahead. Everybody was really looking forward to it. We didn't realise what the finance was really behind. I'm no financial wizard or that. I just go and watch my team. All I want to do is see my team in the park. Looking back now, the infrastructure, the stadium, because we go there, you could see it really needed a bit of work. There were different things for it.
The stadium's different, isn't it, Alex? But
yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Al.
But
it's because it was the 150th anniversary and that we were going to do something big, and it has. We're just hoping now that the team can perform now and give something. But the infrastructure of the stadium, what I've got to say, that's took a bit of money, so I'll give them credit there. They could definitely do some with the toilets. That's one of the issues that we've got there, because they're really, really poor. But that's a good point, Al. If you'd asked me at the beginning if it was going to jeopardise the team, I'd have went, no, we need to get the players on the park before they do anything. But I thought everything was rosy in the garden. And it might be for all I know.
Well, so did I.
So did what we're getting. And you have to find out about strips and that to doing that. My wife's been on about that for a while. The prices that we call it, you're paying for the grandkids and all that at Christmas and all that. And I just thought that was the going rate. I thought it was a going rate. So there's another thing.
Can I just add one thing and then I'll go? The best signing that Dick Advocat made for Glasgow Rangers was Fernando Rickson.
Oh, that's a bold one.
Good shout.
No, it's because Rod Wallace is up there as well, because I loved wee Rod. But Michael Moles, he didn't really kick a ball for us. I know he had a flurry, and he would have been a good player, but you can't hang your hat on him. So I would go for Fernando Rickson, probably then Arthur Newman, and then Rod Wallace, the top three. But Fernando, for me, he was over a couple of managers, wasn't he?
He had a bit of longevity with it. He had his success under McLeish. I don't know if he won. Did he win under Advocat? I don't think he did he? I don't think he did.
Right, I'll let you carry on, but another wonderful show, man. Keep it going for the Rangers.
Cheers, mate. Care. Anyway, we'll be joined
no worries. Thank you.
We'll be joined by Ian. How are we doing, Ian?
Good evening, ladies. Gentlemen and lady.
Hi, Ian.
Good evening, Ian. Yeah. To answer that question a minute ago, I would have sacrificed Edmondson House for the money to put into the team. But my point is just this: I know it's no Gio's tactics, but I think Rangers could go great if they put the two up front, Buff and Kovac, because everybody's saying that Buff needs somebody beside him, and they're saying Kovac needs the same. Well, why don't you put the two of them on? I know it's no Gio's tactics, but I remember Steven Gerrard at the beginning doing it against Hibs, experimental, and we won 5-1, and then he stopped it after that. And I didn't understand that either, because we thought we destroyed them that day. And I think to get Rangers really going would be the two strikers up front, because we could murder teams in the first half an hour and get the game finished with they two on, because they're both capable of it. You know what I mean? I don't know what you think about that, but I know it's no Gio's tactics, but that's what I would do.
Billy, then Linda.
Ian, you're bang on, mate, 110%, pal. Also, if you recall the Celtic game at Ibrox when we were the season we were playing the games behind closed doors. Alfredo played up front with Kmart Roof, and we beat Celtic 4-0 that day and battered them off the park. So there's I can't see the argument for Alfredo no playing up front with Big Kovac. I think the two of them would complement one another brilliantly well, mate. And I'm, as I said before, mate, earlier on in the show, I'm desperate to see the two of them link up and hook up together, and let's see what they can offer the team. And you're bang on what you're saying, mate. That's maybe the key to unlocking these teams in the first 20 minutes in games. If you've got two players playing up top to give their defence something to think about. Maybe that's how when teams are sitting in now and it's all getting all pedestrian and slow and we're taking 2 and 3 and 4. Well, sorry, it's not 2 and 3 touches, because if we were doing that in the ball, we would be zipping the ball about and moving them about quicker. We're taking more touches on the ball, and all the teams do that's playing against you that way, everything's all in front of them. Whereas you want to get these teams starting to turn and getting them on the back foot, mate. So, no, you're bang on, buddy. I'm all for Alfredo and Kovacs to get a run out together, mate. And the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Cheers, mate. Linda.
Yeah, Ian, I think it should be an option anyway, Ian. I think, why would you just stick with the same formation all the time? It gives defences something to think about. And before the games as well, you don't know what system we're going to play, whereas now everybody knows the system. So I would agree with you. It should be an option, and you should always have something else up your sleeve.
You're quite right, because, I mean, individually, the two of them are phenomenal. Put the two of them together, what they're going to be like, a goal scoring machine, the pair of them. You know what I mean? A good service to them. Buff hodds it up well. Big Kovacs is an instinctive goal scorer. He doesn't need to think about it. He just hits that ball and it's in the net. And with the two of them going at teams, as I say, we could finish these games in the first half hour and then start relaxing and bringing on the younger guys. And I just think that's the way to go. But if we can all see that, I don't know why the manager can't see that. I mean, I know he plays different tactics, but is that no logical?
I don't disagree with your logic. Davey, if you come, Davey.
Yeah, well, do you not think the manager, he sees that in order to get Morelos and Kovacs scoring the goals, you've got to get the service to them. They're not going to get the service if they're not moving up the ball, up the park quicker. Because
you'll not do that unless you play the two of them.
But you still got this system where the two central defenders touch the ball more than anybody else in the park. Because the ball go forward, back, and it just goes up and they get up to the halfway line. Then the next thing you're back in your 18-yard box. And that's why you're getting teams parking the bus 10 men behind the ball, because we're too slow. You've got to get your players wanting to go forward. And you've got too many defensive midfield players. See, you need the players to go up, and it's the same. Going about weekend, I think weekend gets our ideal. Because there's usually 2 and 3 men. There's usually 2 and 3 men on him.
Aye.
So that must leave spaces elsewhere in the park. We're not taking advantage of the extra spaces that's there. Because we're not moving up. We just keep backing off.
Well, that's where it needs to change. That's what I'm meaning. It needs to change. These tactics need to change. I mean, if you've got an attacking midfield and you get 2 men up front, that's a big advantage to us and a big loss to the team we're playing. But if we don't play that way and we don't have the players playing up to scratch, we're not going to get anywhere. Nowhere at all. We're going to win absolutely nothing. Either playing the new, depending on one man.
Last word of the evening to you, Alex, with a shot, because we've reached that time in the evening. Surprise, surprise. Alex, in you come quickly, mate.
Fantastic show, Oxford, Linda, Billy, everybody else has been on the panel tonight, and everybody's called in. Really, everybody's got their own opinions in it, and they're all valid points. They're all good, fair comment to everybody with ideas and that. We've all tried our best to see what the best solution is. Gio Van Bronckhorst has got to give a performance with his team on Saturday. But, they're all saying, onwards and upwards, Ox. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Billy boy.
Aye, Ox, what can I say, mate? I thoroughly enjoyed the show again, pal. Thanks very much for asking me on, and a big shout out to my wee counterpart, wee Linda there. Thanks, pal. We've got a cracking game to look forward to at 12:30 on Saturday, mate. And hopefully the players are all back, ready to. They're up for a challenge and up for a fight to playing for the Glasgow Rangers, mate. Let's go and turn our performance in worthy of your club, mate, and get the 3 points at Tynecastle. on Saturday, mate. Come on, the Glasgow Rangers. Let's do this, man.
Cheers, mate. Linda.
Yeah, great show tonight, Ox. Lots of really good points, and everybody's passion for the club really shines through. Nice being on with Billy, and obviously the host with the most, your good self. Yeah.
Flattery will get you everywhere, Linda. Flattery will get you.
Really looking forward to the game on Saturday. I think it'll be a cracking game of football, and let's hope we get the 3 points.
Yeah, thanks to yourself, thanks to Billy, thanks to all the callers tonight. Really enjoyed it. Good debate. Thanks to Fox for doing the technicals, everybody for listening to Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers. Take it away, Foxy boy.
Glasgow Rangers doing it Ibrox is the place, and we will follow in the championship race. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. It's true, the magic boys in blue are the best team in the land. You've got to queue and govern to get a ticket for the stand. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. We've spent a lot of money on great players, yes that's true, but the Rangers fans deserve the best from the boys in royal blue. Yes it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. Ago the story, it was dismal, full of gloom. Now we're building an extension for the Ibrox trophy room. Yes, it's